because of the fluctuation in heavy rains. There was a fluctuation in internet connection as well. So
Yes, no problem. So great participants are joining us. Welcome everyone to session number 5 of this FDP being hosted jointly by Babbar Akali Memorial Khalsa College, Garshankar, Punjab, their IQAC cell and Department of English, along with Nucleus of Learning and Development, NLD. We are on our journey to learn and benefit from theatre skills, which we plan to use as an applied tool for both educators and professionals. And I am certain that for all of us, the past 4 days have been extremely insightful, full of learning, despite or irrespective of the fact whether we may be associated with theatre or not. So I once again take this opportunity to thank our collaborating institution, Dr. Amandeep Hira Madam, convener of this FDP and principal of the college, Dr. Kuldeep Kaur Madam from the Department of Botany, the coordinator of this FDP, and of course, our very talented, brilliant resource person here at NLD, Miss Zelam Tambe. Welcome all participants. You have been really wonderful all these past 4 days. And for me especially, the session day before yesterday, session number 3, where we explored folklores and folk traditions from different parts of India, and yesterday's session on mise-en-scène and theatre of the oppressed was extremely interesting, and I was kind of bowled over with the kind of examples that Zelam brought forth. So before I hand over to Zelam, this is a short sharing that I want to do. I want to share with you this book. I'm not sure if you may be able to see, but I'll share the link in the group. This is a book on intercultural communication, the Indian
ma'am,
context. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Can I just leave the meeting and come again because I'm not able to share the screen. I'm trying to do that 3-4 times, but then it's not being seen. So
Yeah, go ahead. I'll
yeah.
share the book meanwhile. Go ahead. Yes, so meanwhile, Zelam is fixing the issue at her end. So this is a book, you can see this. Let me pin myself on the screen so that everybody can see it. Okay, yeah. Intercultural Communication, the Indian Context. That's the title of this book, Intercultural Communication, the Indian Context. And subsequently, I will be sharing the link of this book. You can pick it up from Amazon. It's been written by my mentor, Professor Ramesh Rao from Columbus State University, Georgia, United States. And he's co-authored it with Professor Avinash Thomre, who's also a professor of media and communication in the United States. And anybody who is interested in exploring the field of communication studies from a Bharatiya perspective, this would be a useful book. It's published by Sage, and this is a revised edition that I showed you. So what is very interesting, and I again say, from the Bharatiya perspective, is that you will be introduced to all aspects pertaining to culture and communication. So what is communication? What is culture? What is the relationship between culture and communication? What are the characteristics of these two important concepts? And then from chapter 2, both the authors have traced the Sindhu Saraswati civilization and some cultural moves, some cultural concepts, some communication concepts from the civilizational perspective of India. So there are chapters on intercultural contact, intercultural identity, non-verbal communication, the role of language in communication, and all of this applies very well if you are a student or teacher of literature, language, linguistics, theater, performing arts, films, etc. There is an entire chapter dedicated to cosmologies and worldviews in which aspects of Hindu philosophy, Buddhism, Jainism, Charvak worldview has been discussed. And the last chapter is devoted to how conflict arises between different cultures because of varying communication contexts and how these conflicts can be mitigated. In fact, Professor Rao does teach intercultural communication at his university. So, because the class that he teaches is quite a mixed group. So, in that sense, maybe this is a book that will be useful to anybody in the social sciences, but more particularly to people in literature, psychology, linguistics, sociology, communication, probably political science also. Great. So, thank you so much. Yes, Zalem, are you there?
I'm there, but I'm still not able to share the screen. So I am doing is I'm just taking the PDF in my pen drive, and then I'll be switching to the mobile. In the meantime, if you can just share what we had done in the last 2 days.
Yeah, so Zalem, what I was saying is that do you want me to share the screen? If you email your PDF to me?
I'll do that. I'll do. Just a minute.
Yeah. Take your time. So yeah, we are just resolving some technical glitch at Zalem's and no worries. So yeah, I was just talking about this important book. And of course, there are many studies in communication. And talking from a communication perspective, because I am from that discipline. In particular, if you are interested in exploring Hindu philosophy and communication, you could check out Professor Nirmal Mani Adhikari's work, because he has worked extensively in language communication and Indic thought. Especially, he has pioneered the Sadharanikaran model of communication, and he has also worked on the Bhatta Mimamsa model of communication. So these are some references that would be useful to all of you. Of course, for the past 4 days, we have explored different dimensions of theater. We have talked about Navarasas. We've talked about the four Vedas and the fifth Ved being Natya Shastra, Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra. In fact, tomorrow I'll recommend a book on Natya Shastra also for all of our participants. We spoke of Indian knowledge systems and the rich heritage and legacy of art, culture, music, dance, performances, poetry in the context of IKS from different parts of the country, and how uniquely we are positioned as a civilization in terms of having cultural diversity in all our art forms. And this is all owing to the oral tradition that we have been endowed with. All our performing arts, poetry, music, dance, literature, was disseminated from one generation to another in the form of the oral tradition, the Maukhik Parampara, because of which it survived for a very long time. And then later on, there were efforts made at systematic documentation and preservation. And in yesterday's session, Zalem specifically spoke about two techniques. I'm sure she's going to continue talking about some more techniques today. One technique is mise en scène, which is a French term and which is uh, typically used in films when you are selecting shots and frames and deciding what to focus and what not to focus, what to keep inside of the frame and what to keep outside of the frame. That is typically what we also do when we are clicking photographs. And then she also spoke of the theater of oppressed, which I believe is more of a Western concept, probably something that you can think of when you are thinking of subaltern studies, because groups who are at the margins of society, groups who are not in the mainstream. How do they convey their issues? How do they bring forth their ideas? And how do they communicate their concerns to those in power? That has been done through the theater of the oppressed. In the Indian context, I remember of the ITPA movement. You can go to Google and check out. I think it is IPTA. Sorry, not IPTA. Just a minute. I was just IPTA is Indian People's Theatre Association, which was, by the way, very, very prominent theatre consortium or collective in the post-independence era. And a lot of the theatre actors that you probably see today come from, they have some or the other association with this group, and this group was at the forefront of the theatre movement in India post independence. I believe that it continues its work even today, and it was set up in 1942, by the way. And I think if you go to the Ministry of Culture, indianculture.gov.in, you can probably check more details about it. And yesterday, Salem also spoke about the different elements that are very important in a theatrical performance, right from the stage setting to focus to lighting to color palette and uh, other stuff, So yes, that's just a quick recap of what we did for the past 4 sessions. Yes, Zalem, are you able to share your screen now?
No, ma'am. Actually, the laptop is getting hanged because of the network issues, and I don't know what's wrong with that in the last moment. But I'll do one thing. I'll start it. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll start the session, even if I'm not able to, share the screen right now. But I'll be pitching about the brushing technique.
No problem. Even if you're just, are you able to email the presentation to me any which ways?
uh, that's the reason the entire laptop is being hanged now.
Oh,
So
no,
just
no,
give
I
me two
think,
minutes.
yeah. I think let's start the session. We can share the presentation later on with the participants. No problem.
Yes. So, good evening, everyone. Actually, I wanted to share with you the techniques of uh, Bertolt Brecht that deals with the theater that has to do with breaking the fourth wall, where uh, the participants are very much a part of it, but they are not being emotionally involved into the theater. They are they are taught that they are here as a spectator. So understand one thing, that when a theater artist uh, talks about keeping the audience away, that means that there is no emotional attachment that the artist has is desiring to be with the audience. So Nidhi, just a moment, if I can just, am I visible now?
Yes, we can
I
see you.
have adjusted in my phone right now, so I'll be able to. Yeah. So
We
I
can
was
see
talking
you.
about, yeah. So I was talking about the techniques. So he was a German playwright who always believed that the audience, and because he was a social reformer also. So yesterday we actually discussed that most of the techniques that were evolved that has to do with something or the other called a political scenario, because uh, people thought that these are the theatrical techniques that are kind of that creates a momentum in the understanding of and how the society perceives these kind of challenges, right? So this Brescian techniques are famous for its alienation effect. That means they create a distance between the audience and the performance. It encourages the critical thought rather than emotional identification. It talks about the techniques that has to do with this episodic storytelling. It also talks about the third person narrative. The characters they play their they present themselves in form of the third person narrative, and the importance is they don't want the audience to get attached. They want the audience to be reminded that you are an audience and you be objective in these things. So I think it is a very unique way of telling the audience, because what happens is if we get a character, if it gets attached with the this thing if it gets attached with its own characters, the performer, if it gets attached with its own character, then he loses the objectivity. So if a person is understanding the character very well, and then he is portraying the character in a way that defines the role of a character, then he also wishes that the same thing will not be the audience will also not have to attach themselves. For that, there are different techniques of bridge, which is the first is the epic theater. It is a non-linear way of episodic storytelling narrative that structures the events as series from a distant scene. So, for example, if the play opens in a very historical setup, and there are certain inferences taken from the past of what happened, and then again in the second part of the play, the theater artists they come and then they portray the role as if they are in the current day situation. So again, this is like switching in and switching out of those roles, connecting it to the current day scenario and then recalling it. So it is a flashback that is shown, but it is performed. It is not just shown. So the thing is, audience is constantly reminded of the fact that you be here. You no need to go get transformed to something else. So this actually it's very different than other theater practitioners, because what happens is it is like if you get attached to your characters, then you lose the objectivity. And Bertolt Brecht, he believed that audience should be always reminded that they are audience, and so they have to be neutral. They have to be very unbiased. They have to be unattached to the characters that are being portrayed, and they should view the character in the capacity of the role they are playing, and not as a character who, like for example, if somebody's daughter is portraying the role of some legendary actress, then that father who is watching her perform should be very much unattached by the way of by the way understanding, keeping in mind that it is a portrayal of the character and not attached to her daughter. So the thing is, by this he will understand what the character has gone through in its life, and the same thing will be seen in her acting. So I hope I'm making sense here. And then there is this alienation effect technique. So what happens is, under this, the familiar, it prevents the audience from feeling too comfortable and emotionally attached, what we just said. So what happens is the narration and the flow of events are such that gives the character, that gives the audience an understanding of what must have been the scenario with them. But the main thing is that they have to understand that what were the what is actually the mindset of that particular character, what is the character role that is expecting out of the performer. So that should be, there should be a very thin line of demarcation, and that the audience should understand. And then we come to the next technique, that is direct address. So actors set up on the character, out of the character, to speak directly to the audience, acknowledge they are actors, and comment on the play. So what happens is, this reminds me of a very common technique used in the television. If you we all must have seen that Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma. So at the end of every episode, Tarak appears and he strikes a conversation with the audience. So what is it? It is nothing but it is breaking the fourth wall. They are informing the audience about the moves of the character, of why did they do that, why did, and according to you, according to them, this was very much needed. So the audience is being informed. So again, the flow of the audience to connect with the character is broken here. So time and again, the brushing technique, it connects with the audience in a way that they are brought to the forefront of being a viewer, being a spectator, rather than getting much into the detail of the emotional side of the connection. Then the next technique that Russian theater it applies to is having placards. It has projections. It has signages. So it is very symbolic kind of a review where the stagecraft it has metaphors. It has placards. It shows. It carries a lot of textual information. It carries a commentary. It carries the action in form of different visual narrative, or aids. Visual aids are being a part of that particular narrative. So that makes that gives the understanding to to the audience about the character who is portraying that particular role, and that is an additional information about being said in form of a visual aid. So again, it goes on to tell the audience about why he is behaving in a particular way, which is expected out of him, and how does he justify that with the help of different visual narratives or visual aids that he is presented with. The next technique is the gesture. It has the actor's physical embodiment of social attitude rather than deep exploration of the character's internal conflict. Now what happens is, when character goes deeper into the internal conflict, the objectivity gets lost. So through his physical body and body movements, the director asked him to portray the emotion in a way that it connects for once, and that's it. So it doesn't have the actor doesn't have to go much into detailing of it. It's just the first connect that is required here, and it is, mind you, very crucial, because to getting into the skin of the character, at the same time knowing the effect of not getting much data, deeper into the character's understanding and psyche. So this is as we are walking on edge. So understand, this is very critical, very crucial, because in a particular situation, a actor behaves in a particular way. So that is situational. So the situation changes in the next scene. So in that, under those circumstances, if he gets so much attached to the situational cause and effect thing that happens in his, in his own understanding of his own mindset, then it becomes very difficult for him to undertake to carry on the role in the next scene, where he's completely transformed. So that the switch moment, and because the brushing technique also understands that the entire crew is not in the wings, they change places on the stage itself. The moment their scene comes, they take a center part, and the moment their scene is over, they move backward. So the entire crew is seen. It's not the hide and seek or the blackout that happens. So, so that is the reason the actor has to be very objective about it, and should not carry the same emotion of the first scene in the next scene. So that's the reason the gestures are very important and it reminds the audience to be in the moment. Then the use of music and sound, it creates a contrast, while see in the Russian theater is mostly known for portraying the serious role in a most comic kind of a musical remix lyrics, and portraying of in a costume that are very casual, that are which are not serious, so they are not in synchronization with the uh, with their this thing, their costume and the role. They are both in contrast. That is the charm of playing it, because performing a role of a serious, say for example, a serious teacher who is ill and who is going to die. So your character knows that the next thing is that I am going to be bedridden and one day I will be dying. So if I actually prepare myself, my body will respond in a way that it becomes very dull in a body language, and then my shoulders are dropped and I feel very dull. But then there is no chance of this, because the next part will be something. The next scene will be something that has an effect on the audience, about telling them that this is a part of life. So this is how the actor connects, by giving the meaning, by not attaching itself, and nor is the audience allowed to get attached with the character. So yeah, and then the next technique is the minimalistic set and visible crew. So it's the non-realistic sets and visible stage technicians that emphasize the production. What happens is, if say for example there is a scene of there is a scene of college going students, and there are people who I mean, the set is divided in a very, in a cafeteria. So there will be two, three cubicles made on the same stage, where we see the people, they are discussing, they are talking. Although the movement, although they are like the core front members, whose role it is, who are going to present it, they will be there. But then those who are in the back, in the background, so they also will be featured, but they will be featured in a way when the light focus transforms from first couple to the second couple sitting on the next adjacent desk, and so on and so forth. So here the arrangement is made in such a way that it is not a very the people are not being camouflaged, and at the same time people, it's not a shifting stage. It is the same stage in which the people are shifting from one angle to another after their roles are done. So that keeps that the actor has to keep in mind. So say for example, I'm standing at point A, and then I have to, after my point, after my scene gets over at point A, I'll have to go to the point B, then I'll have to go to point C, and I'll have to go to point D. When I am not in point A, and when I am in all the other points, then I am just responding to somebody who is at the center stage. So while responding to the people who are there performing live in front, taking up the center stage, it so happens that the audience is watching everything. There is no plain background in the behind the actor who is performing. So they have to be. You have to be, as an actor, very very cautious about the audience looking at you in the brushing technique. So you have to hold that posture and whatever your role demands. So it becomes very important that you don't lose this, lose your stance, and you hold on to the character even if you are not occupying the center part of it. Then we have the very famous breaking the fourth wall technique. So it's a technique that for directly engaging the audience, and they they actually make the audience a part of the discussion while on stage. I don't know how many of you have seen, but there is a famous play called My Dad's Girlfriend, in which there is Shailesh Lodhaji. He's a prime, character, and it I watched it when I was in Mumbai last 3 4 months back. So if you happen to see it, he is in Sailesh's character is that of a poet, and we all know that he is naturally a very good poet. So the poetry where he is, it opens on a scene where he is addressing the crowd, but it is not actually the part of, he's not addressing as a character, he's addressing as somebody who has, I mean, it was depicted in a way, as if, he is live performing in front of all of us, the audience who have gathered. The moment the curtain opens, Sailesh ji comes out with a mic and he starts talking with the audience through poetry and connecting कि ठीक कहा ना मैंने, and things like that. He tries to give the cues to the audience about the current situation, and through poetry he's trying to connect the audience. So this is how he creates the rapport, and moment the curtain opens, he actually becomes the character where he is still a poet, but he starts being a dad, a poetic dad. So it's very interesting to see the character switch from one role to another in a way that it is making justice to make people understand that he is connected with you also. He's aware about your presence as an audience, and he knows that if I say something which I want an answer from you, then he will engage you directly. So this is very interesting, but it's very scary and risky as well, because sometimes in a conversation there may be some responses from the audience that are not so good enough. So that leaves the audience and the person in a very bad spot. So understand, it has to be, you have to be a very experienced actor to perform that, and strike a conversation directly with the audience. But Brescian techniques has this bold characters who actually walk into the walk in the pathway of a theatrical presentation studio, and they actually strike the conversation. And this happens also with one of the major productions, if you have known, Hamare Ram. Hamare Ram is a very famous production in which Ashutosh Rana ji is playing the character of Ravan. So he takes the entry from the audience, and he actually, when he takes the entry from the audience, there is this Shiva Tandav music that is being played in the in the background. And while he's like, the focus moves along with him wherever he's going till he occupies and climbs onto the stage. But then by the time when he is passing through all the passage area of that stage, in the crowd, he is actually nodding to the people, he's doing namaste to the people, still in the character. So people feel that, Ravan ne mujhe namaste kaha. It was that effect. It was so nicely portrayed because he was there in his character throughout, and that made the audience feel the magic of his character and his aura through the character that he portrayed. So, if you happen, I would highly recommend this Hamare Ram to all of you. It's a must watch play if it is happening in your cities. So this is how you break the fourth wall actually. And then we talk about the historical context. So Brescian, as we discussed that, this World War theme. So people were not good. People were not easy to open up as far as these themes of war, or historic genocides or something like that, which was very brutal. They were not able to open up in that context. So what happens is, historical context, if a play is in if a play happens where there is a historical content, so the the placing of the events is from time to time, so it emphasizes the political aspects of the story as well. So under that circumstances, the Brescian techniques, it talks about the non-linear pattern where the character actually talks about those times or that period where that brutal situation happened. And then actually the entire scene, it is there is one more technique called the tableau. So tableau is a composition of the art, two, three people, or a group of five, seven people, or 10 people. who are there apart. They're very much a part of the stage, but they occupy the back. They occupy. They are somewhere in the aspect ratio of 3:1. So if a person has occupied the 3/4 of the stage, they occupy the 1/4 of the stage, just behind the main actor. So what happens while the main actor is delivering something through his voice, through his posture, through his gesture, they hold, they are there frozen in that emotion. Say for example, if a character is talking about the mental stress that he has gone through while in certain jail. For example, it's a monologue of a prisoner, and then the tableau, the people standing just behind him will portray something, different emotion of grief, depression, frustration, all these being shades of not so good phase of some person's life. So that impacts the entire narrative because people are seeing that from a very from an angle which is very close, and they are then what happens is there are two things to be seen for the audience. Number one is the person who is talking, delivering the lines through his voice modulation and the expressions that are being played in the background by all the people. So this creates a very dramatic effect. It creates a very a dynamic and dramatic effect that actually connects with the audience. So this is a very a very common practice that happens at the bridge, where people are exposed to different emotions, and through them the audience get connected to different emotions, wherein they understand the power of objectively viewing something. And that is a very nice technique because at the end, what happens is when you actually portray a character that is very annoying, that is very dark. So while you portray that, you get into the skin of that character, and you actually start becoming that way, or your psyche, at least for some moment, at least for some days, the imprints of that character are still within you. So you also feel dull and demotivated, demoralized at the end while portraying that, because you have been practicing that since long. So understand what happens is, Brecht knew that the actors carry the burden and the baggage, emotional baggage of the character, even if the scene is over, and it remains with us. So it's that powerful. So that is the reason, if the actor knows that I have just to go there and deliver this part, and that's it, my role is over. I cannot let it impact me or my psychology or my my mental health. So this gives a very cautionary step when you talk about the bridge theory, and it's quite instrumental for the people who pursue that particular theory, because they know that they are not going to carry that emotional baggage even if you walk out of the theater halls. So yeah, so with this, I think the techniques are over. Yesterday, Nidhi ma'am asked me that I should talk about the story arc and the hero's journey. So, story arc basically, it's an arc that has to do with the a proper structure, and every story has the BME approach, that is the beginning and middle and end. So when we talk about story, we have there are definitely 7 points which are to be kept into mind. And even if it is a theatrical presentation, then there has to be a journey that has to be shown. There has to be an arc that has to be decided. So, whether you follow a linear pattern, whether you follow a non-linear pattern, there has to be a structure. And the very first part, the very first, the step is, you actually show the setting, you show the environment, you show the establishment of where the character comes from, and in that you actually show about the location that he lives, the people who are very important, dear to him in his life. Then you actually go, then you know move towards the second point, which goes on to show that what is his goal, what he is aspiring of in his life. Then you know you connect that because he belongs to a certain part of his establishment that you have just made people understand. So there he is in his comfort zone, and he is very he's like very okay to do with things in that particular zone. So then now what happens is, now because every story has to have a up and down, na, then only it will get more engaging. So what happens is we introduce a first conflict or a challenge that gives them the understanding of he goes through a traumatic experience that talks about the conflict that he goes through. So in that he actually is being challenged. Then there is something that the character should be is not readily accepting the change, because he has to then put up the efforts to come out of his comfort zone, which we introduce in the very first step. So then comes somebody who is a mentor to him, and he tries to encourage him to take that leap of faith. Then he goes on and achieves his goal halfway. Then he becomes very confident. So from there, the journey of falling action starts, because at that point we introduce something which is we famously know as an antagonist, so which is the exact midpoint of a story structure. And there we have a break, and then once the break gets over, the story is marching ahead, then full of the next 20 minutes would be full of confrontation, because the hero decides that now I have achieved everything. Now it's easy for me to achieve my goal. But the villain, the antagonist, he decides that no, I am going to give you all of hurdles in your way. So then he has to, there comes a point in a story where the hero has to reflect upon his strengths. Then he has to exploit the weaknesses of the antagonist, and then he has to change his way of thinking, his psychology, so that for that he does a lot of research. He goes inward, and then he comes more triumphant and victorious. And then there is a final climax scene that gives the audience the thrill, because at that point there has to be a short one winner out of the two candidates that we have, and the hero of course wins. Why he wins? After he wins, he has to return back to his ordinary world from where he started, but this time taking with him a lot of enthusiasm, taking with him a lot of learning, the lessons learned. And then he actually moves on to become an example figure for all the people who look up to him, that acha ye to aisa tha. Then he has struggled a lot, then he has faced a lot of challenging, and now people see the success story of that person who has now transformed to 360 degrees, and he returns to the ordinary world. But yes, he becomes extraordinary in that entire journey. So this journey was given by Joseph Campbell. He is a very famous playwright also. He is a very famous film theorist also. And film theorist, he was one of the important film theorists who brought in, whose work, whose contribution was in the French wave of, the French wave movement of the cinema, where he wanted, where he wrote the films in which he had the definite journey, where the character learns something and transform from that learning. So it's very important to understand this through these journeys, through this theory. The entire arc of the story, it gets it's carved in such a way that the audience also has one reflection point somewhere in between. There are realizations, there are connections with the actors' actions, and then this is how people learn from his journey, and it is reflected in their behavior as well. So yeah, this talks about the story arc and the hero's journey that we just I just touched upon. I think, ma'am, I'm done with that. So if you want to just pitch in and you want to share something, then please. And I'm extremely sorry for today because I don't know. There was some technical glitch from my end because of the heavy rains. So yeah, please pardon me for that. Didi ma'am, are you there? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you
Hello.
are audible, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Didi ma'am, are you there? I think she
She may
also
have some
is
technical
having.
issues, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah, because it's raining very heavily here. So I'll just put up a message to her. But it's a open stage for all of you. If you want to share, come up with any suggestion or comment or any question which you want me to address. So please go ahead and feel free to ask.
Yes, so we are opening the floor for questions. Yes, the Mamta ma'am already has a question, but I just wanted to check with Zelam if there is any which way in which she can share her screen now, if her laptop is working.
Just give me 2 minutes while you actually uh, discuss with the participants. I'll just check.
Sure. So Zelam mentioned this play Hamare Ram by Ashutosh Rana, in which, of course, Shri Ashutosh Rana is playing a very important role. And coincidentally, we have watched this play together. Both me and her, we went to watch this play together. And it's quite a longish one. In that sense, I think it's about 3 hours, 15 minutes, but on a very, very grand scale, on a spectacular scale, and the entire narrative of the play, that is the dialogues of the play, they are in the form of poetry. So right from the start till the end, the entire story of Prabhu Sri Ram is narrated in the form of poetry. So yes, highly recommend that. And second, if you just go to YouTube, I believe that there are a lot of old and classic plays, their recordings and their stage performances are also available. So, in fact, I have not been much exposed to plays in the Marathi language. Zalem has much more exposure, but I recently discovered that a lot of contemporary Marathi films were actually made based on theatrical performances that happened in the Marathi Rangabhumi in the late 60s, 70s, 80s, and now we have all of these plays in on YouTube. So if you're someone who kind of wishes to explore some of these things in their own language, Marathi was just an example that I was providing. You could probably explore, because I see that YouTube definitely has a lot of older plays. Okay. So Mamta ma'am's question is why the name of your venture initiative is Kabhi Kabhar.
Okay, so Mamta ma'am, actually, this has to do with the writing habit. My grandfather, who was an avid reader, so he actually pushed me to read and write a lot to express myself. So I used to do it it was not a habit until one day he asked me that, from now onwards, I'll be very strict with you and you have to write every day a page and, or read something. And we will be discussing that in person. So when actually he passed away, I had this in my mind that he the habit that was kabhi kabar is actually sometimes, but I made it as my name, as a social handle and as my ventures name, because and the blog name is also kabhi kabar. So because I'll be doing that much often, I'll be practicing, I'll be penning down more stories, so that it is not kabhi kabar, it's not sometimes, it frequently happens, and I'll keep that practicing. So I won't leave that. That's the reason it's named as kabhi kabar. So it is in remembering my Dadaji, and so yeah.
That's great. That's great. Wonderful, Zalem. I think that's good. That's a great tribute to your grandfather. Yes, yes. Yes, I'd request, because we were not able to see Zalem's screen when she was presenting. Zalem, if you just, in 5 minutes, you want to take us through what we discussed, because I was also wondering about these names and spellings.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. So he is the German playwright that I was talking about, Bertolt Brecht. We talked about his alienation effect, which is very important, which he expects the audience to get distance, and it encourages the critical thinking and analysis, just to keep away the emotional attachment part. So the technique that the Brescian techniques we all know is one of the epic theater that follows the non-linear part of episodic structure. So if you can see the actors here, and if you can see the stage here, so as I mentioned that all the crew remains on the stage throughout, and they just have to take their position. So this is, I think, portable stage that they have in form of ladders. So each person will go and stand in their position, which is aligned to them, and the moment they start conversing, they will form a tableau, and they will be talking, addressing it, breaking the fourth wall, performing their character, and then they will be straight away discussing with the people. So yeah, this alienation effect, as we discussed. So it's objective thinking. It creates a impact on the viewers about their own thinking about the character's role, and not the character person who is portraying it. So then we have the narration. So narration, it's always about objectivity. It always is based on the situation and theme, and they have this because the narrative is quite often it is non-linear. So they bring the past, they bring the future, they bring the past, they bring the future. This kind of interplay is there, done with the narrative. Then see how the placement of these people, all the actors are there, but then the one who is talking prominently is taking up the center stage. So it is the director. It is directly talking with the audience. They are directly addressing to the audience, and in the back, in just behind him, all the actors are forming one tableau. I think the image is not that clear, but if you can see their placements, so they are positioned in some or the other way. They one part of the group, one entire chunk is forming that tableau in behind him. Then I talked about the placards and the projections and the symbolic way of telling the people about what is happening, without being engaged into the dialogues directly. So through this, there are very prominent, placards which says "Love for Sale," and there is and if you can see the costumes behind behind the main actor who is in white. So I think there is this, there is this revolt that is going on, and she is one of the victims. But then she has found the voice to challenge the entire system. So that is one thing. Plus, if you can see that Madgo, that what is that? I cannot read it, but there is a figure in front of her, and everybody is walking towards it. So as if that person is going to give the justice or going to listen to that all the revolt that is being happening here. Then we have the gestures. So people are not afraid of gesturing to show their social attitude, to show what are the internal emotions that they have. Plus, if you see, there is a mismatch. If you can see, they have a joker's nose. This is which is actually used in a very satirical way, or it is used in a very sarcastic way, or it is used. See, this kind of nose is often used for the comical thing, but then when we are addressing a very, as I said, brushing has a very different way of telling the people. So if the mood is very serious, they will add something comical into the attribution of the act, so that it makes it, they have the audience have the variety to see. Plus, it is in a lighter way conveyed to the audience. Then we have the song and the music. So if you can see the gestures again here in this yeah, this thing, in this photograph, they are creating a state of artificialness here, which is very animated. So that actually creates a relatedness with the audience, because uh, the more you get real, the more you get affected with losing the objectivity as far as brushing technique is concerned. So yeah, that is the impact of how these actors perform. If you can say, this is a minimalistic set and visible crew. This is a classic set. If you can see, it is a courtroom drama that is happening here. There is a judge who has a seat above. There is a attorney. There are two victims. There is somebody who is behind. See that lady who is sitting there. Uh, the placement of her seat, her chair, is exactly behind that structure that is there. Now, if we see the structure a from a point of view that it is just adding to the set design, so we may fail to understand. But the thing is, here the director wants us to understand that the lady is a culprit, and she is, like, just now we see her as if she is put behind the bars, if you can just relate to this. So so the actor who is actually delivering is standing there with a stick in his hand. And if you see the portrayal of other two people and the one who is lying on his knees just at the beginning of the stage, so this setup goes on to show that there is something very serious, but at the same time, the body languages and the entire setup is very easy going. It's not that much gore, or it is not that much intense, because given the fact if it is a courtroom drama, then the matter is very serious, but they don't want it to be serious. So yes, this is a practical application of how the theater production is having the minimalistic sets and the properties, the entire set, and they're not even covered. If you can see, it's like as it is the logs of wood which is put there, like as a placement into that thing. And now, breaking the fourth wall, as we just discussed, that the technique that directly engages the audience, it's making the audience conscious about the fact that they are watching the play, they are not a part of the play, but they are watching the play. And this is very important, because at one point, whatever message he wanted to convey to the audience was, the message should be reached and not the emotion connect with the or attachment. Because the moment you start emotionally attaching with the character or person who is you is portraying the role of that the person who is portraying the role of the character, uh, so you lose the importance of the message. So that should not be there. So yes, so breaking the fourth wall. Then we have we discussed about this, the historical consent. Now if you see the stage here, the moment it's the lighting, if you say, There are people who are sitting at the back with a blue lighting in a very dim, dark, gloomy place which is not that much illuminated. So understand one thing, they form a narrative, they are a part of narrative which was a historic one. And the people who are into direct focus or they are into the exposed zone, they are the current people. So the narrative keeps shifting between these current and the historic uh, people. So it is the time span that keeps on shifting, so that the perspective of the people and the body language changes. And if you can see the tableau here of the people who are responding as or reacting to whatever the person is delivering the dialogue, so there are two groups on two sides. So again, a very masterpiece. Now this is very important. This play talks about, these are the characters who are, if you can see, it seems that they are waiting, they are sitting in a waiting lounge or a cafeteria or something like that, and in the background there is some work going on. But if you know, this technique is something that has to do with symbolic representation of keeping the audience engaged through the creativity of presenting them the live and in the moment task. So the painting that is being done, they are actually actors, and they are doing it purposely. It is not a part of the play. They are doing it purposely so that the audience are made aware that they are the audience, and there has to be a connect, but then they also have to be in the moment. Yeah. So then freezing of the frames that we know as tableau. So if you can see the prominent pictures here, there are different definite. There is a one person who is leading the center stage, and they are talking and delivering, and there are people who are standing and supporting through the imageries, through the text, and through the different groups that they have, and they are a part of it through the reactions that they give. We talked about the three act structure right now. So the first is, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And we have the climax act one, we have the plot twist, we have the climax two, and we have the actually wrap up, which is the resolution, where the action which was one rising, it then descends. And we talked about the hero's journey, where we have the shift and the turns and the twist that comes in his life. So yeah, that sums up to today's explanation about the brushing technique. Thank you so much. It worked at at the end, so it was a good plot
Yeah.
twist for me.
Yeah, plot twist in the FDP, but I'm glad that it worked because we could just have a quick recap of what we have covered in this session. So we have 5 minutes, and I think we can take any questions, comments, insights from the participants if there are any, either on today's session or on the previous sessions. So anything that any of you want to share, ask, comment, discuss, because tomorrow is going to be the last day of the FDP. So we will try to take questions tomorrow as well, but there will be some closing formalities also. I just want to remind the participants once again, tomorrow we'll be sharing a Google link feedback form for all of you to fill, and also be giving instructions about certificates. So yes, anybody, any questions so far, or if it is all clear? I think it was all good. If not, we are still open to questions. Or you could also share any comment or insight or feedback on how have been the sessions so far. Mamta ji, Poonam ji, Priyanka ji, Saurav ji, some whom I'm seeing very regularly. I think some left because of when the clock struck 9, some people may have to leave. Dr. Valarmati ji, Amarnatha Reddy ji. Anybody? Do we have any questions? Okay, Salem, I guess we don't have any questions for today's session. So I think we can wrap this up, and we will meet tomorrow again for the last session of this FDP. And Zelam, can we have a quick peekaboo into what we are going to be wrapping up with? Zelam, you are on mute.
Yeah, so we will be talking about the practical usage of theater skills in education. So, what would be different activities that a person, I mean, that an academician can have in class. Also, we will be having certain theater techniques, as in action and the activities, how they can have it for their own classes. They can engage their students through that. So, I'll be briefing about a few activities that we also do in our Triveni workshops. So,
Hmm.
so that, as well as there is a dramatic reading. So, how does the dramatic reading, takes place? Um, so yeah, so tomorrow's session will more about it will be more about the practical aspects of how theater implications are once they are being executed in the real life. So yeah, the skills we'll be talking about.
That's great. I think that's wonderful, and that is what we are looking for. Okay, somebody did put something in the chat box. Just a minute, let me check. The above links are not functioning, which, okay, don't worry, Amarnathaji. I will post these links in the chat box. Sorry, in the WhatsApp group, not the chat box, the participant WhatsApp group. I'm just posting it in a few moments. So, yeah, don't worry. So, thank you, everyone. Great to have you once again with us for session number 5. And let's meet tomorrow once again. Thank you, Zela. Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.